Welcome to No Man's Land. In 1916, this was the scene of the largest and longest battle between the French and German forces during the First World War. The last line of defense between the advancing German army and the French capital, Paris. During the 9 months, 3 weeks, and 6 days of the Battle of Verdun, more than 300,000 soldiers were killed. Another 1 million were wounded. After the war, the French government designated this area Zone Rouge, Red Zone. With hundreds of thousands of bodies still under the devastated landscape, the area was considered impossible to clean, impossible to sustain human life. 9 villages were completely destroyed. They would never be rebuilt.
Je suis Maurice Michelet, je suis le président de la commission municipale, ce qu'on appelle le maire du village. Nous sommes à Besanvaux qui est un des 9 villages détruits en 1916, pendant 300 jours, 300 nuits, depuis le 21 février 1916 jusqu'au 18 décembre 1916. Tout ce secteur est pilonné, et il n'en reste plus rien.
When the war had ended and the villagers returned to Besanvaux, everything had been destroyed. This used to be a home, but after the war, only a few walls remained standing.
Nous sommes sur un terrain où il y a encore des centaines et des centaines de cadavres, de morts, français, allemands et autres. Et nous sommes sur un terrain où il y a encore centaines de milliers de tonnes d'obus et d'engins de guerre.
Months of intense fighting produced a tortured landscape, created by heavy shelling, littered with unexploded bombs and shells, and polluted with mercury, lead, and arsenic. Before the war, this was a village of farmers and agricultural labourers, surrounded by open pasture.
Avant 1916, il vit 149 habitants qui vivent de culture. Ce sont des agriculteurs, ce sont des éleveurs. La famille Collin, la famille Léonard, qui étaient des producteurs de bêtes. Et la famille Lahaye, qui aussi élevait des porcs et des volailles. Ce milieu est tout à fait tout un ensemble de production agricole et bovine.
In 1919, the French government passed a law prohibiting the rehabilitation of the Zone Rouge. Where there had been villages and farms, the government planted a forest, a green sarcophagus to keep the hazardous subterranean legacy of the war locked under the soil.
Après la guerre, tout ce qui est sapin et pin ont été replantés avec des dommages de guerre. C'est même les Allemands qui ont fourni les plantations. Mais les autres essences de bois ont été certaines replantées, certaines se sont régénérées seules. On retrouve actuellement des arbres fruitiers qui ressortent aujourd'hui, qui étaient des arbres fruitiers de l'époque, d'il y a 100 ans.
At ground level, century-old shell holes have become a refuge for rare species. Orchids and endangered frogs now thrive in the former dead zone. The small chapel, commissioned in the 1920s, brought human life back to Besanvaux in the years after the war. It provided sanctuary to the displaced, and today continues to be a focus for remembrance and commemoration.
On voit au loin le champ de bataille, on voit ces arbres déchiquetés, c'est soigner ceux qui redescendent du front et renvoyer les troupes sur le front. Vue effectivement d'une église, puisqu'on y représente quand même beaucoup, on y représente quand même le prêtre, le Christ, la croyance et la sainteté, la chrétienté de l'époque.
Today, a handful of people like Monsieur Michelet are dedicating their lives to preserving the few remnants of Verdun's lost villages and keeping alive the memory of the villagers that died for France. The displaced villagers of the Zone Rouge found refuge wherever they could. As the Zone Rouge was scaled back in the years after the war, some of the displaced returned to rebuild their lives, only a few miles from the ruins of their former homes, creating new villages with names that echoed the past, such as here in Vaudevant-dans-Loup. A century after the guns fell silent, these communities continued to breathe life back into the no man's land.